The Euros are back. The Euros are back, guys. It's coming in 2 to 3 months' time now. Um, and with it approaching, I think it's a good idea. Let's preview all the teams, and more specifically, let's preview all the groups one by one. Today, we're going to focus on Group A involving the hosts, Germany. I got my Germany '06 jersey on, looking clean, looking fresh. Yeah, we're going to go over Group A with the hosts, Germany, Switzerland, Scotland, and Hungary also in the group. I'm going to do this for all the groups. 3 of the groups still need to be fully decided. The playoff finals are going to be played in 2 days, but Group A is fully decided. It has been fully decided. We're nearing the start of the tournament, June 14th, Scotland, Germany, opening the entire tournament. And yeah, let's just get into it. Gonna do this for all the groups, but today we're gonna focus on Group A. So let's start with the hosts. And obviously, we know Germany coming into this tournament. We know about Germany's struggles. Everyone knows about Germany's struggles. Last 2 World Cups, 2 group stage exits. The last Euros, they did well. Germany at the last Euros, their performance was good. They got out of the group of death. A lot of people thought they would finish third, maybe even last in a group with Portugal, Hungary, and France. And they ended up getting second. They smashed Portugal in that tournament. Close game with France, very close game with Hungary. We're going to get to Hungary at the end of this video. But yeah, Germany coming into this tournament, switch of managers after Flick. Nagelsmann comes in, doesn't have too much time to build something for this Euros. But I do think Nagelsmann is what this Germany team needs. He's a young manager. The German fan base is not very hyped for this tournament. Everyone thinks Germany's going to do bad back in Germany. Nagelsmann, his youth, his energy might be something this Germany team needs. Obviously, leading this team are the likes of Musiala and Wirtz. Yesterday, they played France in a friendly, and they were fantastic. Toni Kroos is back. He looked amazing. Joshua Kimmich is back at right back, where he was always probably meant to be. He's a fantastic right back. And yeah, this Germany team, the issue with Germany is this. These guys don't struggle against the big teams. They don't. Even in this really bad patch that the German football has gone through the last 4 or 5 years, they typically do well against your Frances, your Englands, your Italies, your Spains, your Netherlands, your Italies. They do well. Germany struggles come with the teams like Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland in the group, teams that will sit back and counter them. So for Germany, yeah, the team has a lot of depth. Obviously, Germany's a team that wants to possess the ball, wants to get the opposing team, who is most of the times, you're not always going to play France, all these big teams. Most of the time, Germany's opponents are going to sit back, soak up pressure, and counter press them. And then some teams are successful and some teams aren't at daring to press this German team and force mistakes out of them. But many teams sit back, and that allows Germany to be a possession-based team. And they have the tools. With Wirtz and Musiala, they have such a dynamic attack right now. Gundogan looks like he's going to play 10, and their bench, Germany's bench, is very strong coming into this tournament. A positive in the Bundesliga with teams like Stuttgart and Leverkusen playing so well is that it's not just the Bayern players carrying this team for Germany now. There is Jonathan Tah in the back with Rudiger. Jonathan Tah having a fantastic season, still undefeated in the Leverkusen jersey. You have Florian Wirtz playing in great form. You have Mittelstadt at left back for Stuttgart. You have guys like Undav for Stuttgart also. Chris Führich off the bench, who's been one of the most dynamic, exciting players to watch in the Bundesliga this season. So this Germany team, a lot of people are sleeping on them, and rightfully so. They don't deserve the title of contenders or favorites because they aren't. A lot of people in the fan base think this is going to be a bad tournament for Germany, and they have to prove to the fan base that they can be a team that they could trust, that they could be a team that could win. So for Germany, oops, sorry, I hit my mic. Proof. They just need to prove to people that they're back to what they were. Wins against France and Netherlands and stuff are cool, but you got to prove that you could beat the teams that have made you suffer the last couple of years. I think in the end for Germany, you could see a lineup like this. This is kind of what I expect from this Germany team, what might happen. You obviously have Neuer in goal, 4-2-3-1 formation, Neuer in goal, Kimmich at right back, Tah, Rudiger, center back duo. I think in the end, Maximilian Mittelstadt will be chosen over the likes of Raum and Benjamin Heinrichs because he seems to be the best defensively out of the left back options for Germany. Kroos obviously is going to be a starter. In the game against France yesterday, and Robert Heinrich did start. Pascal Gross from Brighton is a contender for the spot next to Kroos. The young 19-year-old Alexander Pavlovich is also in contention, but with Kroos, you need a player who's going to do the dirty work. If anything, Andrich right now is in the pole position to play with Kroos, but the way Leon Goretzka is playing and improving his form and being that warrior in midfield that he was for Bayern when they won the Sextuple, I think he will earn his spot back in the team and he will be starting alongside Kroos at the Euros. And the front four, Musiala, Wirtz, Gundogan, Füllkrug and Havertz basically competing for the striker spots. Musiala, Wirtz starting. Sané might have a thing to say about that. Sané is in very good contention to start. And then Gundogan, the captain, is obviously going to play as attacking mid. Unfortunately, that means guys like Thomas Muller, guys like Sané, guys like Havertz will have to ride the bench and compete for other positions. So that's Germany, man. Their team is good. Their team all of a sudden has some good depth, a good spine to it, but they're not one of the contenders. But the expectations for Germany this tournament will be to 100% get out of the groups. You have to avoid getting grouped. And yeah, for them, I think a semifinals is max for them. The goal should be get out of the group and make a quarterfinals. So yeah, that's Germany. On to the next team, the Scottish. I'm not even gonna try the Scottish accent. Scotland. Out of all, this is international football. Passion. Every nation has passion, right? But the Scots have a different level of passion. Um, Obviously with manager Steve Clark, they've qualified for this tournament. They have the likes of players like Billy Gilmore, the players on your screen, McGinn from Aston Villa, Kieran Tierney having a great time at Real Sociedad this season. Andrew Robertson, obviously one of the best fullbacks the past couple of years now for Liverpool. And as I said, Billy Gilmore. Scotland has some quality, but they're not the most technical team. They will not try to outplay you. And Scotland's going to be a team this tournament where in their game, especially against Germany opening day and in the games against Switzerland and Hungary, they are going to try to sit back, soak up some pressure, and hit you on the counter. And their team is well equipped for that. That's how they typically play when they play the bigger teams. That's how they set up. But I'm really interested because they are a team that favors three in the. I think we'll get to the lineup. I think they'll end up playing with a three in the back. And unfortunately for them, not unfortunately, but I'm interested to see how they deal with the fact that Hungary and Switzerland will probably play three in the back formations as well. So I'm really interested in that tactical clash for Scotland versus Scotland in their games against Hungary and Switzerland. Very, very intriguing matchups. But for Scotland, man, the expectations here, they don't often make international tournaments. So Scotland's expectation should be to get out of the group. I don't think the Scottish fans are coming. I know yesterday they played the Dutch and they lost 4-0 at the time of recording of this video. But for Scotland, man, I don't think the fan base is going into this tournament with any negativity. I think the Scottish fan base, from what I've seen, is very optimistic that this Scotland team could get into knockout stages. Remember, in the Euros, much like AFCON, much like Asian Cup, the other continental tournaments, third place, if you're one of the better third place teams, you could go through. And I think Scotland is in a scenario this tournament where they can nick a win. They can, if they play their cards right, get a draw against Germany opening day and snag a win against Hungary or Switzerland and puts them on 4 points, and that always gets you through as one of the better third place teams. So Scotland's expectations here, Steve Clark and his boys, it's to get out of the group. I know it's great to be at a tournament and the Scottish fans just like being involved, but any Scottish fan will tell you, no, we're not just here to, it's like Conor McGregor, we're not just here to take part, we're here to take over. Now, obviously, Scotland's not going to take over. They're not going to win this tournament or make the finals or anything, but they have a good chance of making it through, and that is their expectation, to get to the round of 16 of the Euros and to play knockout football. And for Scotland, that would be a huge achievement. So to predict the lineup, I said, and if the screen is black and it might, my face cam might be darker, sorry, I didn't even account for that. But I think they'll play they like to play the three in the back or five in the back. It's always switching whether it's a three or five in the back, depending on the phase of the play. this is really meant so that they could play both Tierney and Robertson, because by trade, Tierney and Robertson are both left backs, but Tierney is a guy who could play that left center back role in a back three. So playing the three in the back really allows them to get Robertson and Tierney, two high quality players of theirs, on the pitch. Obviously, they have Angus Gunn in the back, Henry Porteous, um, the other center backs, McTominay, Gilmore, McGregor. McGregor, obviously from Celtic, he's been there a while. Uh, he's a mainstay in the Scottish national team. I think those three will run the midfield, and then you got Lyndon Dykes up top, John McGinn behind him, doing his thing. I think something you could see is maybe Callum McGregor not playing, and maybe Richie from Bournemouth playing, and then maybe Richie and McGinn would switch roles basically during the game for Scotland, in and out of the player that plays behind Lyndon Dykes. And obviously Patterson as the right wing back, stroke right back. That's kind of his trade. I believe. I think I'm getting a mix. He plays for Everton. Sorry, yeah. So yeah, I think this is the probable formation, probable setup Scotland will go for. This might not be 100% accurate, but I do think 8 or 9 of these players you see on the screen right now will be in that starting lineup come the Germany game June 14th, barring no injuries or anything. So that's Scotland. Scotland get out the groups. They have the team to do so. The fans will definitely be there to support them, and yeah, don't sleep on Scotland. Don't sleep on Scotland. So next team, man, Switzerland. So Switzerland's an interesting one because I feel like their World Cup was disappointing. The last World Cup, I really feel like Switzerland, especially losing 6-1 to Portugal, that I know it's Portugal, but after the Euros they had knocking out France and the penalty shootout, Jan Sommer coming up clutch, as you see him on the screen here. I really thought they would do better at that World Cup. But obviously, since that World Cup ended, a lot has happened to some of these Swiss players. Jan Sommer is one of the best goalies in the world still. Went to Bayern, won a Bundesliga, and he's been fantastic for Inter Milan this year. You have Manuel Akanji, who is a treble winner now, one of Man City's most important players, one of the best defenders in the world now. Granit Xhaka going to Leverkusen, and is now probably Leverkusen's second best player in a season where they're still undefeated coming up into April. Granit Xhaka, no jokes, is a top 5 midfielder in the world this season. So, and obviously you have Fabian Schär, who's been doing his thing at Newcastle. You have Nico Alvedi also at Mönchengladbach, who's also a mainstay in this team. For Switzerland, man, they have all of a sudden a couple players in this team who are genuinely world class. Jan Sommer, Xhaka, Akanji, 3 world class players in the Swiss team. So the expectation for Switzerland, I think Switzerland fans are coming in with high expectations because some of their players have progressed well. Xhaka exploding into this midfielder that I believed he would always become back from his days at Mönchengladbach, but obviously things at Arsenal were down in the dumps at times. Had a good last season at Arsenal before moving back to the Bundesliga with Leverkusen. Switzerland, man, I feel like for Switzerland in this group, they should be aiming to get out. I mean, I think this group is very even. I think I'm going to say this for all the teams, even Hungary coming up. All of these teams in this group will be looking to get out, and they have the quality to get out of this group and into the knockout stage. I think Switzerland, for them, they'll really be contending for second place. The only thing about Switzerland is this: the goals up top they don't have a consistent resource for goals. Eduardo Vargas, he's a guy who's always in the team and doing things, uh, uh, making plays for them. One of the constant threats Switzerland has, but guys like Noah Okafor at AC Milan, who have been given plenty of chances in the Switzerland team the last year and a half since the World Cup has passed. Just there's no consistent goal. There's no consistent talisman in this Switzerland team, and that's something that's going to let them down. They still have the likes of Shaqiri starting these days. Yeah, they have a Briel Mbolo has been injured. He has an ACL injury, and he's going to be out. He has been out for this entire season, and he won't be back until mid-April. I don't know if he'll have enough time to get better, to get enough games in, and to be the goal threat that Switzerland needs, but yeah, man, this Swiss team is interesting because, like I said before, the World Cup was for me a disappointment for them, especially the way they got knocked out. But yeah, I think they have the quality to get out of this group, it's becoming a little bit of repetitive. I'm like a broken record player, but all these teams have the quality to get out of the group. Obviously, coach Murat Yakin, uh, he sets this team up to basically they like to have possession. They like to play out of the back. Yakin has this team as a team that's comfortable playing out of the back. At least they try to. And defensively, they like to first cut out passing lanes. They play defensively very positionally. They like to cut out passing lanes. They like to force teams trying to attack them to be afraid to go forward, to continuously pass side and side, and then try to force an attack, counter press the ball there, and attack through Eduardo Vargas, Shaqiri, and all those guys, Noah Okafor. So for Switzerland, the expectations here, I think, is to get out of the groups. And if they get out, depending on how they play, I think Switzerland can push for a quarterfinal. And if things go well, semifinals. I am not sleeping on Switzerland. I feel like is being slept on because of how mid they were at the last World Cup. But I think Switzerland can push for quarterfinals again this year. Um, I think a big test for Switzerland will be the game against Germany because since the World Cup, they haven't played many high profile teams. So I think you will really get to know a lot about Switzerland in that Germany game. How will they play against a German team who obviously has more quality than them, is going to have more possession, and won't necessarily make as many mistakes, especially being the home nation and having the home crowd, won't make many mistakes and play into their hands, especially with a guy like Nagelsmann who's so meticulous about his tactics. So yeah, Switzerland. The lineup I kind of think they'll go for. I think for sure they'll be a 3 in the back, 5 in the back system. Switches between phases of the play. I think Jan Sommer starts. Akanji, Rodriguez, Schär, Fabian Schär will be the back three. Although Nico Alvedi from Mönchengladbach kind of switches in and out with Schär for that third center back position. They have Garcia, Xhaka, Zakaria, Widmer as that four-man midfield. Although Freuler can be a guy that comes in for the Switzerland team. Freuler can be a guy. He did score a goal at the World Cup. I think it was the third goal against Serbia, that 3-2 comeback they had. And obviously the front three, they still have Shaqiri there. The guys at Chicago Fire, and he's still playing for Switzerland. That kind of tells you that for Switzerland, there's not that much attacking talent coming through right now. But a guy like Eduardo Vargas, he's 25, and Okafor at 23, two young guys coming in, but they're not the most consistent goal threat for Switzerland. So this is how I think they'll line up. And yeah, let's get to the last team of this group, and the team I really think people are going to sleep on because it's just Hungary. People think of Hungary and they think, oh, it's just Hungary. But I remember Hungary. As a German fan, I remember the last Euros. These guys are sons of bitches, man. There's no other way to put it. These guys are sons of bitches to play. They will make life a living hell with guys like Gulashi, Salah, Willie Orban, Dominic Szoboszlai, obviously at Liverpool now doing his thing. These guys are tough to play with. And the key thing about Hungary, they're not just tough to play against. They're tough to actually beat. Marco Rossi, manager on the right, on the bottom right hand of the screen, looks like Mike from Breaking Bad. If you've seen Breaking Bad, he literally looks like Italian Mike from that's great. Like I literally thought I was about to say Mike from Breaking Bad instead of Marco Rossi, but they're undefeated in 13 games right now. Yes, that comes with wins and draws, but I think that's an important quality in a team like Hungary that people underestimate. It's hard to beat them. For both big teams and little teams, lower tier teams, it's hard to beat these guys. Over the past 2 years, they've played the likes of Germany, England, and Italy, and they've gotten wins against Germany, England, and Italy. I remember they beat England 4-0 like 2 years ago. They beat Germany 1-0 a year and a half ago. These guys, I think, are probably the favorites with Germany to contend for first place in this group. They were very competitive in the group of death last time out in the Euros. Obviously, I talked about earlier, the group of death being Hungary, Germany, France, Portugal. They were very competitive. Just ask the French fans, Portuguese fans, and fellow German fans like me. They are a tough team to play with. They don't lose. And they were very impressive. They were very impressive in the actual Euro qualifying. First in the Euro qualifying group, ahead of Serbia by 4 points. So this Hungary team, man, just please, for your own sake, if you are a team of European nation and say Hungary gets out of this group and you draw them, do not sleep on these bastards. They are They're just sons of bitches, man. They're a sleeping. Hungary with the likes of Pushkas and those. They're kind of like a sleeping giant, kind of, sort of. Uh, but yeah, they've got a nice little squad here. They're one of those teams where they are a cohesive bunch. They are a cohesive bunch. A lot of these players have been playing together in this national team for 5-6 years now. They know each other. They know how to play. They know the goal every time they step on that pitch, especially under Marco Rossi. The game plan is clear. Soak up pressure, hit them on the counters, and let me tell you, Hungary loves their set pieces. They love their set pieces. So Hungary, for them, I think this tactical setup here, I think it's going to be like a 3-4-3 again, or this could be a 3-4-2-1, some variation of a three in the back, five in the back system with Gulashi, Salai, one of another Freiburg Hungarian player like Roland Salai up there at right wing. But Gulashi as goalie, Leipzig mainstay, has been in the Bundesliga, one of the best goalkeepers the Bundesliga has had in the last 10 years. Willy Orban, Lang, Salai, Kerkez, Nagy, Schaefer, Nego running that four-man midfield left to right. And obviously you have your guys, they're real standout players, and Dominic Szoboszlai from Liverpool, Roland Salai from Freiburg, and you have Varga there. Their striker, they're still looking for their striker, but Varga, I think, is going to end up starting for them come the start of the tournament. So, yeah, let me just go back to full screen. That's that's Group A. I mean, like I said, this group, top to bottom, is a very competitive group. I know Germany's there, and historically people will think, oh no, it's Germany, and then the rest are competing for second place. But current history, man, current context, these teams are they're all even, in my opinion. Anyone can finish first in this group. Obviously, I think on quality, most people will say Germany are favorites to top this group. We have to wait until these three games because Germany tends to struggle against these kinds of teams. They do, like I said, they do better against the bigger teams. These three teams are the kinds of teams that that have tended to kill them the last 2 or 3 years. So yeah, interesting. I want to know what you guys think, because I still think maybe Germany is favorite. Okay, let's just say I think Germany favorite for first. Even I got the Germany count. I think they're favorites for first, but seriously, the gap between Germany and the rest of these teams is not that wide. Is not that wide in terms of matchups, in terms of how these teams match up to each other. The gap is not that wide, and I really think Scotland, Hungary, and Switzerland, all of those teams could all go through as second place team, third place team. Unfortunately, I do think Scotland is probably the weakest team and the weakest group out of these four, but that's not to say they have their chances are any less than the other teams to go through, because one win really changes your prospects out of Euros in the groups, and I think Scotland has the quality. They'll have the fans behind them to get that win. So Germany are probably the favorites for first, but man, for second and third place, this is going to be a really fun group to watch. All of the matchups are really interesting tactically. I think this is going to be a group where I don't think any of these games are going to be boring. I don't think any of these games are going to be boring. So if you're a neutral fan, if you don't have a stake in one of these teams, definitely tune in for Group A's games, because these teams are going to put on a show. And yeah, hopefully, I can't hold the bias. I want Germany to go through as first, but I try to be as unbiased as I possibly could this video. So hopefully I wasn't too biased. So yeah, thanks for guys for watching. That's Group A. I'm gonna drop Group B in a couple of days. Got to do my research on that one. But that's one of the groups of death. Albania, Spain, Portugal. No, Albania, Spain, Italy, and Croatia. That's a huge group. I'm gonna drop that video in a couple of days. Thanks for watching, guys.